Hello my friends, welcome back to StoryVerse English. I hope you are happy and doing well today. In this video, we are going to travel back more than 2,000 years into the past. We will learn about a famous queen, a powerful empire, dangerous wars, and difficult choices. This is the story of Cleopatra, the last great queen of ancient Egypt. Her life was full of intelligence, love, ambition, and tragedy. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this historical journey together. Long ago, in the beautiful city of Alexandria, a baby girl was born inside a royal palace near the sea. Her name was Cleopatra. She was born in the year 69 BC, during a time when Egypt was still one of the richest places in the world. Alexandria was famous for its giant library, its busy markets, and its tall buildings. Ships from many countries arrived there every day. Traders brought gold, spices, silk, and stories from distant lands. Cleopatra grew up surrounded by luxury, but life inside the palace was not peace. Fall. Her family was part of a Greek royal dynasty that had ruled Egypt for many years. The royal family fought constantly for power. Brothers did not trust brothers. Sisters competed against sisters. In the palace, friendship could quickly turn into betrayal. Even as a child, Cleopatra was different from the other royal children. She loved learning more than parties and celebrations. While others spent time enjoying royal games, she spent long hours reading scrolls and asking questions. Teachers from different countries came to educate her. She studied history, science, philosophy, astronomy, mathematics, and politics. She was especially interested in languages. Most rulers in her family only spoke Greek, but Cleopatra wanted to understand the people of Egypt directly. She learned the Egyptian language along with several others. People later said she could speak many languages without needing translators. This made her very unusual and very respected. The young princess also learned how politics worked. She watched her father deal with powerful Roman leaders. Rome was becoming stronger every year. Its armies were conquering countries across the world. Egypt was rich, but Rome was powerful. Cleopatra understood early that Egypt's future depended on Rome. Her father, King Ptolemy XII, struggled to protect his throne. He paid huge amounts of money to Roman leaders so they would support him. Many Egyptians disliked him because of this. Sometimes the people became angry and protested against him. The palace often felt unsafe. Cleopatra watched everything carefully. She understood that being queen was not only about wearing beautiful clothes or living in luxury. A ruler needed intelligence, courage, and strong allies. She remembered these lessons for the rest of her life. When Cleopatra was still young, tragedy entered her life. Her father became sick and eventually died. Suddenly, Cleopatra was no longer just a princess. At only 18 years old, she became queen of Egypt. But according to royal tradition, she could not rule alone. She had to share power with her younger brother, Ptolemy XIII. He was still a child, but his advisors wanted him to control Egypt. They feared Cleopatra because she was smart, confident, and independent. At first, Cleopatra tried to rule peacefully. She appeared beside her brother in public ceremonies. Coins showed both of their faces. But behind the palace walls, tensions continued to grow. Cleopatra believed Egypt needed strong leadership. She wanted to make important decisions herself. She spoke directly with foreign visitors and ambassadors. She handled economic problems and tried to improve the kingdom. Many people admired her confidence. However, her brother's advisors hated losing influence. They whispered lies about Cleopatra. They told the young king that his sister wanted all the power. They told others that she disrespected ancient traditions. Slowly, enemies gathered around her. The situation became dangerous. Cleopatra realized that people inside the palace were planning against her. Eventually, she was forced to leave Alexandria and escape Egypt. For many people, exile would have meant defeat, but Cleopatra refused to surrender. She traveled east and began gathering support. She spoke with local rulers and military commanders. She promised rewards to those who helped her. Little by little, she built an army. During this same period, an important event changed history forever. In Rome, a civil war was happening between two powerful leaders, Julius Caesar and Pompey. Caesar was one of the greatest generals Rome had ever seen. Pompey was his rival. After losing battles against Caesar, Pompey escaped to Egypt hoping for protection, but Egypt's rulers feared Caesar more than they respected Pompey. When Pompey arrived on Egyptian shores, he was killed by men loyal to Ptolemy's advisors. They believed Caesar would be pleased, but they were wrong. When Julius Caesar arrived in Alexandria and learned what had happened, he became angry. Even though Pompey was his enemy, Caesar thought the murder was dishonorable. Now Caesar remained in Alexandria with Roman soldiers, trying to settle Egypt's political problems. Far away, Cleopatra heard the news. She immediately understood something important. This was her chance. If she could gain Caesar's support, she could return to power. But entering Alexandria was extremely dangerous. Her enemies controlled the city gates and the palace guards. If they discovered her, they would probably kill her. Cleopatra needed a clever plan. One night, under darkness, a small boat quietly crossed the water toward the palace. Inside the boat was a trusted servant carrying a large bundle wrapped in cloth. The guards allowed the servant to enter Caesar's rooms because they believed it was a gift. When the bundle was opened, Cleopatra appeared before Julius Caesar. Caesar was surprised. The young queen stood calmly before the man. OST, powerful Roman leader alive. She was not afraid. She spoke confidently and intelligently. She explained Egypt's problems and described how corrupt advisors had stolen her throne. Caesar listened carefully. He admired courage, and Cleopatra had shown extraordinary courage. The two spent many hours talking. Cleopatra impressed Caesar with her knowledge and charm. She understood politics better than many older rulers. Caesar soon decided to support her claim to the throne. This decision created immediate conflict. Ptolemy's advisors refused to accept Caesar's interference. Fighting erupted in Alexandria. Roman soldiers and Cleopatra's supporters defended the palace while enemy forces surrounded them. The streets became battlefields. Fires spread across parts of the city. During the chaos, some historians believe parts of Alexandria's famous library were damaged or destroyed. The fighting lasted for months. Food became limited. Danger existed everywhere. But Caesar eventually received reinforcements from Rome. His forces defeated Cleopatra's enemies. Ptolemy XIII tried to escape during the battle, but he drowned while fleeing across the Nile River. At last, Cleopatra regained her throne. The victory changed her life forever. Cleopatra and Julius Caesar became very close. Some people believed they were deeply in love. Others believed their relationship was mostly political. Whatever the truth was, they trusted each other. Caesar remained in Egypt for some time. Together they traveled along the Nile River aboard luxurious boats. Cleopatra showed Caesar the ancient temples and monuments of Egypt. They discussed science, philosophy, and leadership. Soon Cleopatra gave birth to a son. She named him Caesarion, which meant Little Caesar. She claimed Julius Caesar was the father. Later, Cleopatra traveled to Rome with her child. The Roman people were fascinated by the foreign queen from Egypt. Some admired her beauty and intelligence. Others feared her influence over Caesar. Rome at that time was filled with political tension. Many senators worried that Caesar wanted too much power. Rumors spread through the city every day. Then, in the year 44 BC, disaster struck. Julius Caesar was assassinated inside the Roman Senate. A group of senators attacked him with knives. They believed they were saving Rome from dictatorship. Cleopatra was shocked. Without Caesar's protection, Rome became extremely dangerous for her. She quickly left with her son and returned to Egypt. Back in Alexandria, Cleopatra focused on protecting her kingdom. But Rome once again descended into civil war. After Caesar's death, powerful Roman leaders fought to control the republic. Among them was Mark Antony, one of Caesar's loyal generals. Another important figure was Octavian, Caesar's adopted heir. Eventually, Antony and Octavian defeated Caesar's assassins and divided control of the Roman world. Mark Antony governed the eastern territories. He needed money and support for his military campaigns, and Egypt was wealthy. So Antony invited Cleopatra to meet him. Cleopatra understood that this meeting could decide Egypt's future. She prepared carefully. When she traveled to meet Antony, she did not arrive like an ordinary ruler. Her ship was decorated beautifully with rich fabrics, shining silver, and colorful sails. Music played while servants surrounded her. The scene was unforgettable. Mark Antony was immediately impressed. Unlike Caesar, Antony was emotional, energetic, and loved luxury. Cleopatra understood his personality perfectly. The two quickly formed a close relationship. They spent long periods together in Egypt. They organized grand celebrations, hunted animals, and enjoyed lavish feasts. Yet their connection was not only about pleasure. Both needed each other. Antony needed Egypt's money and resources. Cleopatra needed Roman protection against enemies. Together they became one of the most famous couples in history. They had children together and dreamed about building a powerful future. But in Rome, Octavian watched carefully. Octavian was clever and patient. He realized that Antony's relationship with Cleopatra could be used against him. He told Roman citizens that Antony no longer cared about Rome. He accused Cleopatra of trying to control Roman politics. Roman leaders began spreading stories that Antony had become weak because of his love for the Egyptian queen. Public opinion slowly turned against them. The tension between Antony and Octavian eventually became war. In 31 BC, Their forces met in a huge naval battle near Actium. Hundreds of ships filled the sea. The battle lasted for hours. Smoke covered the sky while soldiers shouted and arrows flew across the water. At first, nobody knew who would win, but gradually Antony's forces began losing. Then something unexpected happened. Cleopatra's ship suddenly turned away from the battle and sailed toward Egypt. Antony followed her. Many of his soldiers felt abandoned. Without leadership, much of his fleet surrendered. The defeat at Actium destroyed their hopes. Antony and Cleopatra returned to Alexandria knowing Octavian would eventually attack Egypt. They tried desperately to prepare defenses. They searched for allies, but few rulers were willing to challenge Rome. Octavian's power continued growing. Soon his armies marched toward Egypt. Another battle took place near Alexandria. Again, Antony lost. During the confusion, false rumors spread claiming Cleopatra had died. Heartbroken and defeated, Antony believed the rumors. Feeling that everything was over, he stabbed himself with his sword, but Cleopatra was still alive. Servants carried the badly injured Antony to her hiding place. She held him while he slowly died. It was one of the saddest moments in her life. Now Cleopatra stood alone against Rome. Octavian entered Alexandria victorious. Although he treated Cleopatra respectfully, she understood the truth. She was his prisoner. Octavian planned to take her back to Rome and display her publicly during his victory celebrations. For Cleopatra, this humiliation was unbearable. She had ruled as queen. She had fought to protect her kingdom. She refused to become a symbol of defeat. In August of 30 BC, Cleopatra died. Historians still debate exactly how it happened. Some believe she allowed a poisonous snake to bite her. Others think she used poison hidden in a container. Nobody knows the full truth. But most people agree on one thing. Cleopatra chose her own ending. With her death, ancient Egypt lost its independence. Octavian took control of the kingdom, and Egypt became part of the Roman Empire. Cleopatra became remembered as the final ruler of ancient Egypt, but her story survived long after her death. People across generations continued talking about her intelligence, beauty, ambition, and courage. Writers created books about her. Artists painted her in age. Filmmakers made movies inspired by her life. Some stories focused only on her beauty. But Cleopatra was much more than that. She was highly educated in a time when few women had power. She understood diplomacy and politics better than many kings. She knew how to survive dangerous situations. Her life teaches us important lessons. Knowledge can become power. Languages can open doors. Confidence can change history. At the same time, her story also shows how ambition and politics can lead to tragedy. Cleopatra lived during one of the most dangerous periods in ancient history. Every decision carried risks. One wrong move could destroy an empire. Still, she continued fighting until the end. That is why people still remember her after more than 2,000 years. Today, as we learn English together, we are also building power through knowledge. Every new word helps us understand the world more clearly. Every story teaches us something valuable. History is not only about what RS and kings. It is also about human dreams, fears, courage, and choices. And Cleopatra's life contains all of these things. Many historians still debate what kind of person Cleopatra truly was. Some describe her as a brilliant leader who tried to save Egypt from Roman control. Others describe her as ambitious and manipulative. The truth is probably somewhere in between. She was a real human being living in an impossible situation. Imagine the pressure she faced every day. Rome was becoming stronger and stronger. Powerful men fought constantly for control. One mistake could cost her kingdom, her family, and her life. Yet even during those difficult times, Cleopatra remained calm and intelligent. She understood how to speak to powerful leaders. She knew how to influence people. And she never stopped trying to protect Egypt. Her relationship with Julius Caesar changed world history. If Caesar had lived longer, history might have followed a completely different path. Some historical. Ians even wonder whether Cleopatra hoped her son Caesarion would someday unite Egypt and Rome. But fate moved in another direction. After Caesar's death, Cleopatra had to build a new alliance quickly. That is why Mark Antony became so important. Unlike Octavian, Antony enjoyed luxury and adventure. Cleopatra used charm and intelligence to build a strong partnership with him. Together they dreamed of creating a powerful Eastern empire. However, Octavian was always patient. He carefully used propaganda to weaken Antony's reputation in Rome. He convinced many Romans that Antony had become controlled by a foreign queen. This political strategy helped Octavian gain support before the final war. The Battle of Actium became one of the most important turning points in ancient history. If Antony and Cleopatra had won, the future of Rome might have changed completely. Instead, Octavian became the most powerful man in the Roman world. Later, he became known as Augustus, the first Roman emperor. His victory ended the Roman Republic and began the Roman Empire. So Cleopatra's story is connected to one of history's biggest changes. Even after her death, legends about her continued spreading. Some stories exaggerated her beauty. Others exaggerated her cruelty. Ancient writers sometimes described her as dangerous because they feared powerful women. Modern historians often try to separate myth from reality. What they usually agree on is this: Cleopatra was extremely intelligent. She understood politics, diplomacy, economics, and culture. She knew how to survive in a world controlled mostly by men, and she understood that image and presentation were important in politics. That is why she arrived to meet Antony on such a magnificent ship. That is why she spoke many languages. That is why she worked hard to appear confident and powerful. She understood human psychology. At the same time, Cleopatra also enjoyed luxury. Her palace in Alexandria was famous for its beauty. Visitors described golden decorations, expensive furniture, gardens, fountains, and large halls filled with artwork. The city itself was one of the greatest centers of learning in the world. Scholars traveled there from many countries. Scientists studied astronomy and mathematics. Writers copied books and shared ideas. Cleopatra supported learning and culture because she believed knowledge strengthened civilizations. Sadly, much of ancient Alexandria eventually disappeared because of wars, earthquakes, and time. But its influence on history remained enormous. Sometimes people only remember Cleopatra because of romance stories involving Caesar and Antony, but reducing her story to romance alone ignores her achievements. She ruled a complicated kingdom during a dangerous political era. She negotiated with powerful empires. She protected Egypt for many years even while Rome expanded across the Mediterranean world. That required intelligence and courage. Today, man. Why people still visit museums to learn about ancient Egypt and Cleopatra's life. Archaeologists continue searching for more information about her palace, her tomb, and her kingdom. Some believe her tomb may still remain hidden somewhere near Alexandria. If it is ever discovered, historians could learn many new details about her final days. Until then, much of Cleopatra's life remains surrounded by mystery, and perhaps that mystery is one reason people continue loving her story. Her life contains everything people enjoy in historical stories. There is power, there is romance, there is war, there is betrayal, and there is tragedy. Most importantly, there is determination. Cleopatra never accepted defeat easily. Even after losing her throne, she fought to return. Even when surrounded by enemies, she searched for opportunities. Even when Rome threatened Egypt, she tried to protect her kingdom. Her courage continues inspiring people today. As you continue learning English with StoryVerse English, remember something important. Great stories help us understand both history and human nature. They teach us about courage, mistakes, dreams, and ambition. And every time you listen to English stories, your language skills grow stronger. Maybe one day you will tell stories too. Maybe you will inspire other people through knowledge and history. Learning is a journey, and every journey begins with curiosity. Cleopatra remained curious her entire life. She studied languages. She explored ideas. She asked questions, and that curiosity helped her become one of the most famous women in history. Thank you, my friends, for spending time with StoryVerse English today. I hope you enjoyed this fascinating story and learned some new English words along the way. If you liked this video, please support the channel by giving it a like, sharing it with your friends, and subscribing to StoryVerse English for more amazing historical stories in simple English. Also, don't forget to leave a comment below and tell us which historical figure or mystery you want to hear about next. Until next time, keep learning, keep dreaming, and keep enjoying the wonderful world of history and English together.